A TSA agent just confirmed what the agency won't put on a sign. Seniors over 60 are getting flagged for one simple thing nobody warns them about. A woman packed her husband's liquid heart medication deep in their carry-on and said nothing at the belt. The scanner flagged it. Agents opened every bottle and tested each one. 20 minutes gone, all because nobody said the word declare. 7 new TSA rules are catching travelers over 60 off guard in 2026. And Rule 4 is the one where a camera takes your photo and almost nobody knows they can say no. Let's get into it. Rule 1. The real ID wall and the $45 surprise. As of February 1st, 2026, a standard driver's license without a gold or black star is no longer enough to fly. No star, no passport, no military ID. You get routed to TSA Confirm ID, a $45 fee, non-refundable, good for exactly 10 days. Here's what almost nobody realizes. That fee doesn't fix anything permanently. A round trip without a compliant ID means paying it twice. Once out, once coming home. Verification can take 30 minutes or longer, and TSA is blunt. There's no guarantee you'll even clear it in time. For someone who's driven on the same license since the Reagan administration, this isn't a technicality. It's the difference between boarding and standing at a side counter watching your flight push back without you. Check your license right now for that star. No star, a passport works as a backup, no DMV trip required. Pro tip: if you need to upgrade, book a DMV appointment online instead of walking in. Bring a birth certificate, social security card, and 2 proofs of residency, so you're not the one losing hours in a waiting room. If that fee alone makes you want to go check your wallet right now, hit like and subscribe. This channel's all about catching this stuff before it catches you. Rule 2. The one sentence that saves your medication. From a search, liquid medication is exempt from the standard 3.4-ounce limit. Insulin, liquid blood pressure pills, eye drops, all of it can travel in whatever amount you actually need. No original bottle required. But that exemption only applies if you say so before screening starts. New scanning technology in 2026 is sharper than ever at spotting dense, oversized containers, and an undeclared bottle that looks like everyday liquid gets pulled and tested almost automatically now. Nearly 9 out of 10 Americans over 65 take a prescription drug, which means this single sentence affects more older travelers than almost any other rule on this list, and most of them have never once said it out loud. A woman packed her own husband's liquid heart medication deep in their bag and said nothing at the belt. The scanner flagged it, agents opened every bottle and tested each one. 20 minutes gone because nobody said the word declare. Pro tip: pull your liquid medication out before you reach the belt. Set it in its own bin. Say out loud, "I have medically necessary liquids to declare." That's it. One sentence and the exemption is yours. Rule 3. Why your pacemaker needs to speak before the machine does. If you carry a pacemaker or defibrillator, you're not supposed to walk through the metal detector at all. But here's the part nobody explains clearly. You have to say so before you reach the machine, not after it alarms. Stay quiet, set off the detector, and TSA policy locks you into a full manual pat-down. The longest, most invasive version of screening that exists at the checkpoint. A 2-sentence disclosure beforehand replaces all of it with imaging or a simple handheld check. Joint replacements, defibrillators, pacemakers, these are exactly the kind of metal that trips alarms for reasons that have nothing to do with security, and exactly the kind of metal that becomes common after 60. Carry your device card. Say it before the machine. "I have a pacemaker," or "I have a metal hip." If you're 75 or older and weren't waved into the easier screening lane automatically, say your age out loud, it can trigger a second pass through the detector before any pat-down is even considered. The next rule is brand new for 2026, and it's already pulling seniors out of line at airports, rolling it out for the World Cup right now. Rule 4. The camera you're allowed to refuse. At more and more checkpoints this year, a camera takes your photo and matches it to your ID before you even reach the X-ray belt. Here's what almost never gets said out loud at the podium. It's voluntary. You can decline that photo entirely and still fly, with a standard manual check and zero penalty, no extra questions, no delay built in. The expansion is moving fast in 2026, partly to handle the millions of visitors expected for the World Cup, and the signage explaining your right to opt out hasn't caught up at every airport yet. So plenty of officers won't volunteer the option themselves. A retiree reached a checkpoint camera she'd never seen before and assumed she had no choice but to comply. Her grandson later told her she could have said, "I'd like to opt out," and shown her license, just like always. For someone who spent decades handing over a physical ID and nothing else, that camera can feel like a decision being made for you. It isn't. Say, "I'd like to opt out" before you're asked to look into the lens, and a TSA officer compares your face to your ID the old-fashioned way instead. If anything like this has happened to you at the gate, share it in the comments. Let's help other travelers over 60 fly smarter. And stick around. The final power tip is the one that makes every rule on this list actually pay off. Rule 5. Shoes stay on now, except when they absolutely don't. Since mid-2025, shoes off stopped being the default for anyone. Sounds like good news, and mostly it is. But it's not a blanket pass. Alarms, thick soles, certain orthopedic shoes, and smaller airports without the newest scanners can all still send you straight to the bin. TSA flagged thick-soled sandals specifically this year as one of the most common triggers, which matters enormously if you're the traveler standing on one foot afterward with nothing to hold on to. For a senior with balance concerns, that's not a minor inconvenience. That's a fall risk built right into a rule that was supposed to make things easier. A man wore his thick orthopedic sandals to the airport, certain the new policy meant they'd stay on his feet the entire way. The scanner alarmed anyway, and there he was, balancing on one foot at the bin, the one scenario the headlines never warned him about. Wear shoes you can actually remove without bending or struggling, just in case. If standing is hard, ask to be seated for that part of the screening. It's allowed. And if you're 75 or older and not already flagged for it, say your age out loud. It can mean your shoes and light jacket stay on for the rest of the line. Rule 6. The free help that has to start before you even see TSA. Free wheelchair and walking assistance through the entire airport is a federal entitlement, not a favor, and it requires no doctor's note, no proof, nothing but the ask. Here's what catches people off guard. Most assume that help starts at the checkpoint. It doesn't. It starts at the airline counter, at booking or check-in, and it covers the walk through security itself, help with your bags, expedited processing and priority boarding straight onto the plane. There's also a dedicated phone line, TSA Cares, that connects you to a real, trained support specialist if you call 72 hours ahead. For a long terminal walk or a tight connection, this is the difference between an exhausting trip and a smooth one, and every part of it costs nothing. Request special assistance the moment you book your flight, and confirm it again at check-in. Call TSA Cares at least 72 hours before you fly if you want someone walking you through screening step by step. You don't need to prove a thing. The request alone is enough. Stick with me for the final power tip. It will change the way you travel forever. Rule 7. The jar in your bag that's bigger than you think. Any powder over 12 ounces, roughly the size of a soda can, has to come out of your carry-on for separate screening, and it can be opened, tested, or refused outright if officers can't clear it. Protein powder, fiber supplements, electrolyte mixes, even large vitamin jars all qualify. And high mineral powders in particular have been known to resemble the chemical markers officers are trained to flag. It's the smallest rule on this list, but it's also the one most older travelers have never heard of, since nobody expects their morning supplement to need its own private inspection at the checkpoint. Keep any powder under 12 ounces, preferably in its original sealed container or single-serve packets, and you'll likely never think about this rule again. Pack the big jars in your checked bag instead, where there's no limit at all. If it's medically necessary, the size limit doesn't apply, but you still need to say so. Final power tip. Federal policy already gives travelers 75 and older a gentler version of screening. Shoes and a light jacket stay on. You get a second pass through the detector before any pat-down, and you can ask to sit down for the whole process if standing is hard. The catch nobody tells you is that the system often doesn't flag your age automatically unless you're in a dedicated line. So say it out loud. 2 words, I'm 75, can shift you into the easier process on the spot. No paperwork, no proof. Pair that with a TSA Cares call 72 hours ahead, and you've stacked nearly every protection on this list into one calm walk through the airport. If even one of these saves you a real headache at your next gate, subscribe so you're never caught off guard again. And tell me below, which one of these 7 did you have absolutely no idea about?